Three branding tips everyone should know. So just a little introduction. Brooke, do you want to introduce yourself? You can just read what it says.
Oh, good. I do web and graphic design. I am the more tech-brained part of our little dynamic duo. So I do a lot of coding fixes and things like that, and then figuring out what apps and things we need to use for our business. And then communicating a little bit more with clients. It's kind of my jam. And then the problem solving, like I said, just finding code and fixing it and customizing things for clients. But also, if I don't know it already, I love problem solving and figuring it out. So that's me.
That's you. And I'm Laura. I am graphic designer, and I pride myself on being able to help people with problems that they don't necessarily know they have. And I enjoy social strategies, and I think more analytically. So that's just a little bit about us and why we work well together. Okay, so the first thing, I just want to talk a little bit about the difference between brand and branding. I see a lot of people use the terms kind of interchangeably when they're two separate things. Your brand is your business and your product, what you're selling, but the branding is what represents your business and the product that you're selling. The first tip, Brooke, if you have anything to say, because I'm going to steam right through this.
So the brand is your business, whereas branding is all the visual elements. And even like when you go to a brick and mortar store, like the feeling that you have of walking into a store, like one of the biggest differences I can think of is like the difference between walking into like a Hot Topic here in America, which is just like a dark store, poorly lit, and walking into like a Gap. Like they're totally different brand experiences. And part of that is their branding, like their logos, their color schemes, and just the feel that you get from them. So if that helps.
Yeah. So example, IKEA is the brand, but the yellow and blue logo, the Scandinavian design, and the meatballs are all part of their branding. Okay, so the first tip is build your foundation beyond the logo. A lot of people think that branding is just a logo. It's just like a tiny little part of a whole recipe that is branding. So you can ask yourself, like, what specifically are you trying to create? What platforms are you going to be finding yourself on? So like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all those things have different vibes, and you want to create your brand so that it fits where you're going to be taking it. You take into account your ultimate goal. If you don't have a long-term plan, then you're not going to have anything that lasts long-term. Your target audience is, again, we find that people find it difficult to separate their own ideals from what they're trying to create. I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but your target audience is probably not yourself. So the way you would market something to yourself is not how you would market to your target audience, and you have to take that into account if you plan on being around for a long time, or if you plan to be taken seriously. You can also check on who you see as your competition, see who else is within your niche, so that you can see what kind of strategies they have, the vibe that they're putting out, and just learn. Like, it doesn't have to be competition, but like learn from the people around you that are doing the same kind of thing, that have the same target audience and the same goals. Brooke. What you got?
Also, just with the target audience, like making sure that, I mean, your competition is being successful too. You don't need to emulate somebody that doesn't know what they're doing either. Like,
Yeah, don't
do it.
copy somebody else's branding just because you want to be who they are.
Yeah, and don't do that. Don't copy. It's okay to be inspired by, but you don't want to copy at all. That and you want to set yourself apart from the competition, so, which is also part of branding. Trying to think. Yeah, and then just with all that, the last bullet point there is how much time and money you can and are willing to invest. And there's a huge difference between a logo and branding designed by someone who has a ton of experience. They're usually going to be more expensive versus somebody on Fiverr who, or not that Fiverr's bad, there are actually honestly great designers on there, but it's just a really terrible marketplace for designers and business owners as far as just getting value out of it for your business, if that makes sense.
If you want something really in depth, it's probably best to have a dedicated designer.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions about this? Oh, let's see. Somebody want to read them? I don't know what's happening.
So it's what you do when you have small business owners who want to work with you and don't know what they're building. Well, there's honestly like a lot of deep diving that we have done in the past with certain business owners to try and help them figure out like, who are your target audience. We have a workbook that really dives into it, that like when small business owners have come to us in the past, like we've helped them do a ton of work, but a lot of the work they have to do themselves. Like, I don't know who their ideal clients are or what their business goals are. So like that's things that they have to ask themselves, and it is hard to do it. And so when you don't have a business owner that's willing to do the work, like that's just not a good fit, at least for us. And it may be for somebody else who loves that kind of stuff, but for a designer, like they really do have to put the work in to figure it out.
Yeah, we do send out a questionnaire when people contact us, and I have noticed that questionnaire is not completed probably within like 5 days. It takes a long time because people they haven't thought like that far ahead. They haven't thought that deeply, and like it's a lot of work. It's exciting to start a business, and I know what it feels like to want to just jump right in, but the process to like really build that foundation takes longer than what most people expect.
Yeah, like we've had clients that know exactly what they want and they know what they need for their business. A lot of the times for us, our ideal clients right now are small business owners that already have some branding in place, but are really looking to up level, even though I hate that term, but like to take that next step into like, yes, like I'm ready to like fully commit to building my business. And so like that helps us because we're doing more of an audit and helping them do that versus like brand new businesses that really are lost a lot of the times, where they have 3,000 things coming at them on top of trying to figure out branding. So yeah, it's lots of questions and questionnaires, and even suggesting like a business coach and things if you have that as a resource. So
yeah,
did we answer your question?
Take your time, I think, is probably one of my biggest tips when it comes to getting started. Like, unless you are actually in a serious hurry, or if you're excited, just take your time.
Yeah.
Do it right to start with, and then you don't have to rebrand in 2 years, and it saves you time, it saves you money, and all the effort.
And
just
stress.
Take your time. And if you have a graphic designer, it saves them stress and time.
Sure.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm an amateur, but I was just wondering if you all give your clients kind of a timeline when you are branding. Is there like a specific, like do you always give them 3 weeks or 3 months, or how do you go about telling them when your service will be completed?
we can go as fast as the client goes.
Yeah.
Like, it really depends
Yeah.
on how responsive and how much they know. I can work fast. I get a good feel for what people want, and I can go really fast. But there's been times that I've finished up a project and then the client has been like, okay, I've changed my mind. I'm not going that direction anymore, and I'm already done.
It's the worst.
So
Oh man.
it depends on like how much the client has prepared for the project.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then Haley had a question that says, what are some of your strategies for building a brand that is timeless and not just trendy? And I think is that the next slide that we actually?
Yes, we cover that. There's a lot of trends.
It's not the next slide, it's like the slide after this, but.
Thank you.
I'm like, I don't remember.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next one. And again, just if you have any questions, just go ahead and shout them out. So the next tip is to remember that it is not about you.
Yeah.
You have to be able to separate your own personal preferences from what is relevant to your brand. Well, if a lot of people will come and just be like, oh, but I love purple, so I'd love it. I love my branding to be purple. I'm like, well, you're a sports club, and like, doesn't really work. And it's hard to tell people, like, I'm sorry, but your favorite color is not welcome here.
It's not gonna send the right message. Like, I had one client that was a man running a women's clothing boutique, and his initial logo was very masculine. Like, so we had to like slowly transition him to like, okay, you're selling to women. Like, that doesn't speak to women. So it was a work in progress there. But yeah.
And that's, the questions come in really handy. Do the questions at the start, and then you'll be able to put aside your own ideals or what you think it should look like.
Yeah.
It's sad to have to tell someone, like, no, that's not going to work. We know brands, we know businesses, and we research these things, and yeah, you have to be able to put it aside.
It's hard, and it's really hard because like, as a business owner, it is like a child, or like, it's very personal starting a business, but they really do have to become objective to their business, which is really hard for a lot of business owners to do. Like, you kind of have to hold their hand and talk them through it of like, hey, like, back away a little bit. And also, like, as a designer, it's like, we do know what we're doing, and building that trust is huge, like with clients. So
yeah.
And then also the feedback. I can't tell you how many times like a client's gone to their mom or a sister that took an art class 12 years ago and like tell them how to do the logo and the branding and things like that. And it's not part of the vision because they're not objective either. That makes sense.
Yeah. When you've been on your own journey to discover what your brand is, what your goals are, you're the one that's completely invested in it. And then when you turn around to, like, the phrase is, I'll ask my team. And as soon as anyone says that, I know you're asking your mom or your husband. And your mom and your husband love you very much, and they care about what you're doing, but they haven't been on the journey with you. They don't know what you want to do with this. And so their personal preference can get in the way of what you should be doing also.
Yep.
So do your research and don't ask your mom. She's lovely, I'm sure, but don't bring your mom into it.
My mom doesn't know anything. Actually, she does, about art and stuff, but I don't show her anything I do. So.
Okay, is there any questions?
Mackenzie had one that was, we work with some clients that only have logo and no other guidelines. It's hard to create, sorry, I'm like talking around my ring light here. It's hard to create cohesiveness when they don't have that. How do you get a client to get on board with creating actual branding and guidelines for the brand? So
yes, that's a tough one.
It's tough, but at the same time, like, I've done it. And it's not necessarily a full branding package. It's more of a brand audit. And we have a brand audit workbook on our website, not like trying to promote it, but like it helps. Just the questions that are on there, you're welcome to use it. But it helps them to like realize, is their logo really working for them, the one that they do have, or like what tweaks need to be made to it. And then it helps the clients realize and small businesses realize that, like, oh, I really do need to have cohesive branding across everything, like getting your business cards, your website, your Facebook, all your social media channels, and everything just cohesive, and having the guidelines so that as you are creating your content, it's all together, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I've never had anyone that's regretted not doing a full branding with us, or like in general. I don't know anyone that's been like, oh, I wish I didn't know what fonts to use. I wish I didn't know what my colors were. Everybody like needs it and they appreciate it once they have it, but like convincing them just go that little bit further can be tricky. So yeah, like if you'll notice with this presentation, this is completely our brand. This is all our colors. There's 2 fonts being used throughout the whole thing. And I mean, like that does set you apart from.
It sets us apart. And then also, like, because we're both graphic designers, as she and I are both creating different content for Facebook, Instagram, or our website, like we have the guidelines in place. And as a small business owner, having that option, because it's not very, I mean, you can continue to work with the same graphic designers, but sometimes small businesses just don't work with the same graphic designer or can't get a hold of them. But if they have branding guidelines in place, you could just send that to a graphic designer or a social media manager. And it's like, these are my brand guidelines, like use this as you create content. So as you're building your business and building your team, like it's all right there for them.
Yeah, that's that foundation. Okay.
And this, this is what I think Haley was asking. No, Clint.
Yes. Yeah. So brand for the future. You don't want to have to rebrand within 6 months, 2 years, maybe not even 5 years, or at all. Like, I don't know if rebranding is like, it's not the ultimate goal. You don't want to have to rebrand.
Yeah.
Is your branding solid enough to take you to where you want to be in 5, 10, or 2, 5, 10 years? Current branding trends will not carry you through to the next, it says, I said 5 years, but probably 2 years.
Yeah.
A huge one off the top of my head would be yellow and gray and chevron. Like that whole combination. Teal is another one. Like it's not timeless. That's gone. That is way in the past now.
Well, it's looking at like brands that have been around forever, like Coca-Cola and Nike and McDonald's. Like they haven't changed their logos in years, decades even, and like it's just timeless. And to find and build that for your own business so that it's recognizable too, like it's huge.
Yeah. So this example here is a mechanic. You call it a mechanic? A car guy? What's that called?
That's a mechanic.
A mechanic? Okay. This was for an auto shop. That's what I was going for. Okay. It says it right there.
Translating in her brain.
Bilingual. Sorry. This is for a guy that was starting completely from scratch, and put together all these elements for him to use within his brand. And it goes from, we put it all on one sheet. This is like the final thing that a good graphic designer will give you, will have all your elements together so that you can pull from it for anything that you need.
Yeah.
So it goes from this to like the physical parts of his brand. So yeah, being intentional, knowing what you want, getting it all in front of you. Nobody could regret that. Like, that's my brand right there. And then, so this is what full branding, it's not just a logo. It includes your logo, any alternate logos, watermarks, font pairings, your colors, any icons that you use on your website, patterns, like all of it is more than a logo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I've done quite a bit of packaging for different kind of e-commerce websites and things like that, and just it's so much easier to pull it all together when there is just already branding guidelines in place, and so it's more affordable for them, because sometimes I'll charge by the hour depending on the client, and sometimes we already kind of know what it's going to be, but it helps significantly to have all those things as a designer, but also as the business owner. It's because it's just there. Like, it's so much easier because the decisions have already been made, and you don't have to second guess yourself, and you can just push forward and get it done.
Yeah. So you do the work and it pays off.
It does.
Okay. So that's a little recap. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Because this is actually the end of what I have to say.
Can you go back just one slide, and I just want to screenshot that list you had. That was really cool.
All right, let me.
I don't know why we put you in charge of this. Like, when I thought I was the technology and communication.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay. And stop share. There we go.
Ta-da.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or feedback, experience, or banter?
Yeah, no, Rachel just said earlier, like 10 minutes ago, she said, I'm a photographer for businesses, and almost every shoot I ask for the brand guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, that's awesome, because
yeah,
what colors you're working with, and the style even of what they're going for.
To incorporate,
and every time you have it, they either have it, or there are some businesses where they are quite hands off with the kind of, they've paid for their brand packaging. They're not designing stickers or writing their own letters or doing their own Instagram posts, but they can get it really easily because they know their graphic designer has it and can send me like the hexadecimal codes for their colors, and like they've got it. And for me, that's legitimate business. I would just completely expect that from any legitimate business that I'm working
it's
with.
more professional. Like, that was one of the things I wrote down. Are you showing up as professionally as you want to be in 2 years? And are the people you want to be working with showing up more professionally than you are? Like, if you want to be working with people that are more professional, you have to show up more professionally. You have to know your brand. Boom. Haley, what do you have? Tell us, ask us, share.
Well, like, just to say, oh my gosh. Well, just as we were talking about making sure that your brand like isn't just what you like. It made me think of a funny thing. I worked at an ad agency for a little while as a designer, and we had a new client. They were some kind of energy protein bar thing, I don't know, but they sent us their style guide, and it had lots of images of people doing like extreme sports. So there were people mountain biking and kayaking and stuff like that. And so it had the colors and everything. So I designed it all out, some business cards and these brochures and the different things they needed. And when I sent it to the client, the CEO emailed back and was like, no kayaks at all. There can't be any kayaks anywhere. And he's like, and also I hate that color and everything. And it was so funny. And then their designer emailed me and she's like, I'm so sorry. He had a bad experience on a kayak once, and so he doesn't want kayaks. But it was such a funny experience. But the thing is, it's like he was projecting his own weird, personal experiences onto the brand. And really it's like kayaks did fit with their brand. But because he'd had this weird thing, he like didn't want it on there. And so I think, I just thought of that as, again, when you are creating a brand for a business, sometimes you do have to set aside, like you said, those personal experiences or personal, opinions that you have. Like, yes, if you love purple, but it doesn't fit with your brand, don't use it. If you hate kayaks, but that has nothing to do with your brand, maybe it's okay if there's a picture of a kayak in a brochure, right?
Awesome.
I don't know. You guys are great.
That's awesome. Yeah, we do run into like very specific preferences a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can't explain why not, like really explain why not, then maybe it's fine.
Yeah.
So
no, and part of it's just communicating more, like over the years, learning how to communicate better and ask the right questions with clients so that you get the answers that you want. That took some developing there. Yeah. Or just being able to refer to an email, or it's like, no, 2 emails ago you specifically asked for this. Like,
yeah,
promise, that's why I made it like that. But it's
do the work.
But yeah, we
I butt in with another dumb thing.
Yes. Always.
It's not a dumb thing, but just I like to remind myself that people are stupid. I'm stupid. And when I'm building my brand, I like, where do you want your things shared? Do you want people taking pictures of your stuff on Instagram and sharing that? Like with product things, I was sent some really cute products to photograph today, and they came, and the envelope had a cute sticker, and then it had like a little card with a thank you note, and it had the ribbon that matched the brand. And I was just like, I can Instagram the shit out of this. Like, I'm just going to take pictures of all of these things, and because people love those elements. I love those elements. When your branding comes all the way down from your logo to like a piece of ribbon, I love that. I'd go mad for that anytime.
Yeah, I almost feel like there's no point in even starting if you're not going to finish it properly. Why invest the energy in like half-assing it if there's a whole other mile to go before you can be done? Like, what's the point? And I know that people get excited, and I love that. I love it. I love working with excited people. But if you're not going to finish strong, it might not be the right time to start.
Yeah.
So.
Which is huge. And it's a hard choice to even realize, and that's not a choice. It's a hard realization to have, where it's like, oh, I'm not quite ready for this. So, like if they're not even, if client isn't ready to even put that kind of work in, then it's like, you're not quite ready. Yeah, we've turned people away before. I straight up have, where it's like, this is just not a good fit. And I'm okay with that. Like, it used to be like, oh, no, please pay me money. Like, please. But now it's just like, I really don't want to work with you. So.
You can't.
Yeah.
If I don't have the energy to lead someone all the way through, I'm not here to develop your product or your company or build your business. I'm here to help you do that yourself.
Yeah.
But if it comes back to me like having to do that. I can't do that. I used to do it, and it takes a lot of energy, and it's hard to watch it. It's just really hard.
It's exhausting. I'm more of an introvert, like I have more empathy, and so I become super invested in clients' businesses, like emotionally, which is ridiculous. So I can't do that. I cannot allow myself to do that, or I burn out so fast. It's not good.
But I think that's like, there are things out like Fiverr. I mean, you can get what you want.
Yeah.
You just have to find it there. And I think that's maybe the difference between working with somebody, is that like we are invested and we are ready to like dive deep into what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you know what you want, maybe just go find it where it's already made up for you.
Heather asked a question: do you have any recommendations for a person as the brand? And then, does that make sense? You see more and more people that are the brand, and that kind of scary idea, but maybe necessary thoughts. I have a client right now that does shooting targets, like outdoor, like his ideal client is 40 to 60-year-old men that own guns. And he literally dresses up in like this outfit and is the spokesman for the brand, even though himself like is not this hick out in the backwoods shooting things. So like, is that kind of on target there a little bit? Or are you thinking more like Marie Forleo, like brand?
I want Heather to turn on her camera and be sitting there wearing like a bandana and have a shotgun and be like, yep. That's what I'm talking about.
None of that.
Dang it.
No, I think what I was like, because I'm in getting into the life coach and business coach realm, and it seems like so many life coaches and health coaches, like they are their brand.
Yeah.
And that is very intimidating to me, like having to be on all the time. Like when I get done with a fitness class, I am not cute. And so am I willing to put myself out there to be the brand and take the sweaty pictures of myself? Or does that make sense? Like, it just
like who's your target audience though? Because what you're saying is, if I, Laura, I'm your target audience, I want to see that. Like, I want to see that.
Sweaty selfies during like challenges. So.
But if I am not your target audience, if you want to be attracting people that are more put together and care more about that, then maybe the polished content is what you need.
And so I think that's what it's like, do I have the energy to be that polished all the time? And I don't know.
If you're already questioning if you have the energy, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I
don't think I do.
Be yourself and be authentic. That's going to go so much further than someone like, bless Marie Forleo, like she's amazing and I love her stuff, but like she has a team of I don't know how many people that are making the perfection happen.
Right.
And like that's not sustainable.
Well, and for me, that's not real life.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not real life. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Brooke and I actually work with a coach who is not like the typical coach that you would think. And she like prides herself on being rough around the edges. And like, that's really attractive to a lot of people, because when I come into a Zoom call, I might not be wearing a bra. Like, I'm not. I'll show up, but
this is the third day in a row I put makeup on. That's like.
Well, I didn't have my camera on because I was like, oh, I just got done with class and my hair is like still sweaty and greasy. Well, you're very kind, thank you.
You look instantly ready.
Yeah, but I'm just like, oh, I'll just leave my camera off today.
And that's fine.
Anyhow,
no, like it's a lot less draining to be authentic and be your real self and just show up. Like, but honestly, like, yeah, our wonderful life/business coach, like it's helped a lot. And therapy in general, mental health is huge as a business owner.
Yeah, I think my biggest hang up is you do go look at other people's Instagram accounts or, you know, whatever. And it's like perfectly curated and they look beautiful all the time. And you're like, are people more drawn to that? Or are they going to be okay being drawn to what I have to offer?
Yeah.
It's who you're trying to attract.
It's who
But,
you want. Well, really, it's who you want to work with. Do you want to work with perfectly polished people that may or may not be their authentic selves all the time? Or do you want to work with people that are their own authentic selves?
Right.
Because that's what you'll attract, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense.
To go with that, like your Instagram feed, you can have whatever pictures you want on there, but like have them be the same kind of temperature, the same warmth. And I think there's a cohesiveness that you create there with that branding, that it almost doesn't completely matter what is underneath the presentation as much. So you can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have a filter that I like that's got the same, so each picture will have the same look, but it's still like, you can't, there's only so much you can hide.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, thank you so much, ladies.
Yeah.
Glenn made a comment that sometimes the issue that you encounter as a marketer is the client wants to have completely different demographics as target audience. It takes work and energy to make them understand that they need to funnel who they want to target. So
yeah,
that's
oh boy, yeah, yes.
And not everyone is your ideal client. Like, I cannot stand fake people. Like, I can't. It is draining to be around that type of person, and it is difficult. And so I naturally am like, no, I don't want to work with them. Like, and we don't attract those clients anymore, if that makes sense. So like most of the clients that we have now are just genuine, authentic people, and it's great. But that's because our branding's in place and our messaging is like, hello, we love Parks and Rec, like, and we're goofballs who really love graphic design versus we've got our crap together and we're perfect, because we're not.
No.
So do you guys have any tips then, like if you kind of want to redirect who you're targeting, I guess, in a sense? So like, for instance, for me on Instagram, the people that are following me are women between the ages of like 18 and 30. And guess what? Women between the ages of 18 and 30 like do not have, 10 grand to drop on a mural. So do you have any advice for like how to kind of make little things to sort of move it? Not to just be like, bye guys, peace out, you don't matter. But like,
you're not rich enough for me.
Because like you want to still be there for those people, but like,
I think, like Haley, you probably know this all better than we do. Like you show up where you need to be. I think the whole networking aspect and presenting your skill in a way that's almost like subliminal to your target audience. You know what I'm talking about? Like lyrics from an awesome band. Like if you hand letter these lyrics and you tag them in it, you get the exposure from this awesome band and their audience. Like show up where your audience, your ideal audience is. And it's not always on like our own feeds. Like you're right about that. People are following us, but that's not necessarily like your ideal clients.
Yeah. Well, so in line with that, the brand I formerly had was Lulu Designs. And it initially started out with like free blog backgrounds and free printables and free everything. And so it was actually really hard to like transition. It's like, no, I actually need to get paid sometimes for this. And so like I have like 11,000 followers on Facebook that all want free stuff. And so we're like currently as a business transitioning, like those 11,000 clients, while they are great people, are, not our ideal clients anymore. And so, but it's like you said, it's tough to be like, bye to all of them. So it's the transitioning kind of our our, oh my gosh, our content to small businesses and things, and occasionally like engaging a little bit with the clients that are the audience that's there, but just knowing that we don't need to put forth the effort to please everyone. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's people. I love people, I promise. I sound like I hate everyone. But I don't totally hate everyone, just mostly everyone.
Stop. Going along with what Clem said, it is really hard to convince someone that you might know a little better, like what they need. And I was just thinking also, like when I present logo ideas, I've heard Haley talk about this too. Like sometimes I'll make the one that I know is going to be better for them, maybe make it like a little bit bigger. Like, you want this one, like whatever. But it's like that is hard to convince people that you might know better. But I also will be like, I'm not an accountant, so don't come to me to do your bookkeeping. I'm not going to come to you to do my branding because you're something else. Like, these are our specialties. This is what we do. Depend on us to do this for you. We'll depend on you to, what? I can only think of an accountant. Like, I depend on someone else to do that.
Because you had an accountant tell you, like, oh, I'll just take care of this branding. Like, we're not going to do that. That didn't happen once. That's probably why you're like, accountant, stay in your lane.
I'll do your branding. You do your accounting. But some accountants think they can do your job for you too.
True. And who knows, maybe they can. But yeah. And with the businesses more so than individuals, my favorite clients usually end up being men in their 30s and 40s. Have you like joined your Chamber of Commerce or anything like that? Because that is an excellent way. Like here, I live in Davis County in Utah and joined the Davis County Chamber of Commerce, and they have luncheons and meetings and a Facebook group. And it's a good way to connect with people you wouldn't connect with otherwise, if that makes sense. Like, it's terrifying because that's me though. Maybe you would love it.
You would.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's good. And yeah, and I mean, there's women business owners too. Like, but yeah, I don't know what it is about men in their 30s and 40s that know what they're doing in their business. They're definitely a lot easier to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in your price range too. So
yeah.
And then Clem, Laura had a great idea by organically doing some freebie work for the brands you really want to work for. It doesn't have to be big. You can read interviews where the brand would be featured and design a sentence you really like, and then catch their attention. Yeah, Laura's done this before, where she's straight up like, here's a new logo design. Like, I can't stand yours in a loving way, but yeah.
Yeah, people I think want to be helped. Yeah. And it's just kind of speaking their language. You have to figure out how to speak their language to like present it without being like too cheeky or too rude.
Or a condescending jerk. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good at it. I've done it. And people respond pretty well. So like just put it out there.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Cool.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think we're good.
Is this the end, or is there going to be more time to ask questions? I have one that might pertain to a later topic. I'm not sure.
Oh, go ahead and ask.
Yeah, go ahead and ask.
Okay, yeah. So I'm at the beginning phase of working in digital marketing, and there's a handyman. I'm from Oklahoma, and he wants to start a business, and he doesn't really know where to go in regards to branding. And so I'm just curious on maybe some some tips on where I could guide him. He wants to name his business Trial by Fire, and he doesn't really have understanding of how to make a logo. And I'm just curious on maybe where I could go with that, or what would you all do in this situation?
I would I'd probably Google like people for branding ideas, see if you can find somebody that has like an Instagram feed or a website that you love the style of, and ask like who did their branding.
Yeah, or even Pinterest. A lot of the times, graphic designers will post the brand boards that they've made for clients as well. So brand boards that he may be drawn to may even have the designer on it that he can contact, and just because it really comes down to just style. Like if he likes a certain style and wants that for his business.
Yeah. The very first phase of what we do is direct clients to Pinterest and say, like, go ahead and pin things that catch your eye that you feel are relevant to your brand. So colors, textures, other logos and things like that. And once they see it all together, it makes it easier to be able to like find someone to develop that into the next phase. So that's a huge part of like that foundation work.
Yeah, and just words, even words that they are drawn to, like being dependent or dependable, not dependent, but dependable. Like when I think of handyman, it's, it's not going to be some light, breezy, airy branding. It's just, rocks and things that are dependable. And I'm going to keep using that word dependable because it's the only one that's coming to my brain right now. But, and trust and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.